Lore lesson. The Lost. I don't know if I'll make it out of here. I can hear them scratching, clawing at the decaying wooden door separating me from my likely demise. I had to flee. What in tarnation am I even doing here? Reduced to running from what I can only describe as the undead. Hunkered down in a rotted wooden dwelling in the middle of a farm abandoned long ago. Hiding was my only option. There were too many of them. The shuffling of their unsteady feet upon the wooden floor. The ungodly sounds of their twisted speech on the other side. It's almost as if they're communicating with each other, developing a plan to find another way into this room. I scan the room, dimly lit only by the moonlight shining through the broken windows and the beams of dust it illuminates. I can hear them all around me. Is this what it was like for those who used to dwell here? I'd better come up with something, and fast, lest I end up another victim of the Lost. Or worse, I find myself among their ranks. From the Journal of Cassius Kilbourne, Syndicate Intelligence. What in tarnation was I doing there? I'll tell you. The Consul had been requested to return to Windsward to handle the rising conflicts between faction leaders for territory control. The Syndicate's wish was to handle the issues diplomatically. But let's be realistic. We're dealing with the Covenant and Marauder leadership. We knew where this territorial conflict would land. While my colleagues dealt with the politics of the situation, I decided to slip out and venture on my own to continue my investigation on the origins of the lost souls scattered around the island. Windsward was a hotbed of immortal activity, so I set out to learn what I could with what little time I had. While exploring the area of Torrent Dawn Cave, I chanced upon a camp occupied by a most impressive woman scholar. Aeternum certainly has no shortage of researchers. Lakina Paget Nova was certainly one of them. Brave, I thought, for being this far into the wilds alone. She was foreign, but well spoken in the common language. Although, we're all foreign in this place, are we not? Miss Paget Nova was impressive indeed. We enjoyed an engaging conversation where she declared the logistics of her visit to Windsward. For science! She proclaimed with a laugh and a heavy Russian accent. She chuckled and continued to describe her current work. The nature of mortality on the island and how it is altered by the Azoth coursing through the very soil beneath us. It becomes quite apparent to anyone traversing the lands of Aeternum that one does not simply die here. When you die, for whatever reason, you return. But it's how you return that truly fascinates Lakina Paget Nova, and it's what drives her research. The Lost. She studies them. Closely. Well, as close as one can. It's no secret the Lost will pursue you with murderous intent if they catch wind of you. I had a myriad of questions, and I didn't hold anything back from Miss Paget Nova. All of these undead creatures upon the island, they were numerous. They were everywhere. But how does one become lost? What are the differences between the many forms of these demon-like abominations? Do they think? Are they much like the corrupted, where they actually have plans, tasks, and a structure of society? And away we went, chatting away an entire afternoon. She shared her research, her stories, and some harrowing tales of narrow escapes from the clutches of the immortal Lost. It turns out her research centered around uncovering the stories of the many farming settlements overrun by the Lost in the area of Windsward. She sought out the accounts of the survivors, although there weren't many. Good people, just trying to carve out a living in a new land, had been either run out, or in most cases, invaded by the Lost and transformed into the very beings they feared most. Miss Paget Nova discovered There were various types of these lost souls. There were, for example, the lost pirates and buccaneers dwelling along the coastlines, all from a time long ago where adventurers braved the seas in search of plunder. But all they found upon Aeternum was a cursed afterlife. There are the withered who roam the ruins of inland farms and villages. Most intriguingly, they seem to prey upon the human spirit. People who long for missing loved ones. She believes these lost souls are particularly drawn to the friends and family they left behind. She says they hunt these living acquaintances with the goal of turning them, too, into the lost. A tale Miss Pagetanova was particularly enthralled with was unraveling the tragedy at a settler's village outside of Valor Hold in Eden Grove. A community of farmers, one by one, went missing. While those remaining in the village dealt with not knowing the fate of their loved ones and friends, mysterious occurrences began to happen. Sightings of the missing during the night hours, signs of their departed loved ones left for them to see, the growth of strange flowers in the area. One at a time, the villagers ventured out to search, but went missing, as if each of them were lured into the darkness with hopes of bringing their most beloved home. Miss Pagetanova had found a series of journal entries scattered throughout the area entitled The Evernight Letters. The village where she discovered these is now occupied by the lost. Lore page. They are not lost. I shared Annika's imagined tale of seeing Catherine and Adrian with the millwright Elias while we were drawing from the well. I cloaked Annika's tale with scorn, expecting him to shake his head sadly and offer sympathy. Instead, Elias went quiet, not with disbelief, but in that hesitation I know comes from fear of speaking the truth. I pressed him on it, even threatened to strike him, until at last he cried out that he had seen them too. "They are not lost," he said. "They've been coming back, each of them, sometimes to the fields. We see them walking among the flower beds, but gone at our approach. We work in pairs now, for fear of being led off into whatever hell claimed them." I told him that if we were lost out there, we would want to be found. He shook his head. "It is bad enough they have come back to us. We should not go looking for them. They aren't our people, our family anymore. They belong to the island." Were the lost souls who now saunter among those fields of the once prosperous little farm actually the humans who used to inhabit it? This would certainly explain why they continued to return. They were once human, with lives, family members, dreams, and aspirations, and some of them don't seem to forget it. Whether or not one becomes lost may be related to the way a person dies. Some who die simply return as the withered, an existence filled with misery and anguish as they wander the landscape of Aeternum in a zombie-like form, attacking anyone who crosses their path. The haunted, on the other hand, are specters of the lost, whose physical body has decayed so much it cannot stay in one piece. Perhaps this is due to the repeated deaths over time? The decayed corpse material simply sloughs off, leaving behind nothing but a spectral form, angry and bitter. Others who may befall a particularly violent death seem to return minus the physical body altogether, a spirit of pure anger and rage. Anyway, there's at least one of each outside this rickety door, I'm sure of it. I suppose I should find a safer place to dissect my research. For now, I'll have to devise a plan to get out of here, lest I join the ranks of the soulless ones. I'll continue my research later. Well, I seem to have made it out of there alive. A blessing of the divine, I'm sure of it. I've had some brushes with death in this vile place. There is no doubt about that. But this one was especially harrowing. A vivid mixture of All Hallows Eve and the nightmare from which you can't seem to awaken. I made it back to camp by dawn's first light, tired, aching, and in need of a restful sleep. But on this day that refused to relent, my return to camp brought yet another mystery. Lakina sat on a stool near the encampment as I approached. "Good morrow, Miss Pagetanova. How was your sleep?" I mused, clearly fishing for a return inquiry so that I could spout the tale of my night's encounters. But the sound of my footsteps, nor my voice, could rouse her attention. Instead, she stared off into the early morning dawn blankly, absent. She appeared as if she'd seen a ghost. "Miss Pagetanova?" I inquired with concern. "Are you not well?" With her body completely still, and without breaking her distant gaze, Akina Pagetanova raised an arm and pointed inside the tent. My focus turned toward the researcher's tent and the red glow emanating from within. I regarded Lakina once more, but my curiosity diverted my full attention toward the canvas shelter. The morning sun hadn't quite crested the mountainside yet, leaving heavy shadows in the valley we occupied, but not in the tent. A glow from within came in waves, a bright crimson brilliance reflecting off every surface in the enclosure, and there it sat, on a table near Miss Pagetanova's bunk. A parchment, a glowing red vapor emanating from its surface. I was astonished, puzzled, overwhelmed. In my travels upon Aeternum, I had recovered numerous journal entries, annotations, and crazed ramblings on parchments, many of them infused and glowing blue with the effects of Azoth. But red, this I had never seen. Dare I say it appeared corrupted. I was undoubtedly frightened, but my sense of investigation overtook my actions involuntarily. I approached slowly, but quite willfully. I held my hand over the red vapor, as if testing boiling water before cooking a meal. It was quite warm to the touch, but not so warm as to stop me from examining it. As I retrieved it from the table, the red vapor seemed to dissipate in the air. There was indeed a message penned upon it in a familiar language, and it was composed to me.
Lore revealed. The lost. Killborn. You are quite the inquisitive one. You seek enlightenment, as do your companions. The knowledge you seek regarding the soulless ones lies within your grasp, close, yet leagues far away from the truth. Alas, truth seeker, we have chosen to help you, lest you don't neglect to return the favor when we call upon you in the time to come. These lost, as you have designated them, have not always dwelled upon Aeternum. They first appeared when the Ancient Ones began to explore the properties of the Azoth. In the southern swamplands with their machinations, one by one they bred human captives into mortal soldiers for themselves. Soldiers to guard their precious secrets. Soldiers to fight the rampant corruption on this island. But some did not become what they were intended to be. Some became lost. Lost to the true essence of what it means to be human at all. thrust into a world of confusion, endless rage, and aimless wandering in search of their former lives. These wretched beings dwell in a state beyond life and death, some retaining some semblance of intellect, memory, and awareness. Others do not, decaying instead into a mindless husk, an automation endlessly carrying out a set of repetitive actions, perhaps the same they performed in life. Whether they function effectively after becoming lost seems to depend upon a person's willpower and mental fortitude before their death. The process and reasoning as to why a human transforms into the lost is not fully realized. We suspect the soul and its connection to the Azoth holds the key. What is apparent is how an individual's state of mind can determine if they are to simply resurrect or if they are to become lost upon the death on Aeternum. The more the human psyche falls into despair, greed, ambition, or rage, the more accelerated the process of becoming one among the lost becomes. This is the price of immortality we all sought upon this wretched island. What remains clear is the ancients drove it too far. They meddled with the affairs of the gods. The deep connection between the Azoth and the human soul was too tempting for them to simply walk away. We will reveal more, Killborn. Propagate this account as you wish. Pursue us not. We will continue to regard your actions and may emerge again as your journey progresses.
I was speechless. The note, unsigned, anonymous, the red glowing mist. The words echoed in my head as if they were designed to haunt me. I admit, I was truly terrified. Could this be true? This was more information on the origins of the immortal lost than anyone had gathered to date, at least to my knowledge. Were they truly intertwined with the history of the Ancient Ones, the Azoth upon the island? Somehow, I knew it to be true. One question remained, however. One thing was left unanswered. When these souls leave the human body, where do they go? Are they sent to the abyss? Into the sea? To another plane of existence? Or perhaps the island reclaims them in exchange for this coveted immortality. It doesn't seem worth it. Nevertheless, I intend to continue these inquiries until we have the intelligence we seek. But that will be all for now. I have much to consider, and I'd better go check on Miss Pagetanova. Cassius Killborn.